What's up, guys? Dr. Feel Good here, back again with another philosophy. And I want to talk about something that most of the public does on a regular basis, and it needs to stop. It really does need to stop. We need to learn how to separate the two. And you may be asking, what are you referring to exactly? Because that could apply to a lot of things, and it does. One thing I see people do all the time is they are more than willing to follow, indulge, trust, and wholeheartedly take the advice of a popular public figure, celebrity, politician, whatever the case may be, until that person does something inappropriate. Then the same public people that have been following them for months, if not years, trusting everything they say, taking all the advice to heart, turns on them like all the advice they gave is just completely just wrong. Completely discredited. And to me, that doesn't make sense. That's why I say we need to separate the two. Let me give an example. Let's say you go to church, right? You got the pastor. He's giving a very powerful sermon. Very powerful sermon that you completely understand and you agree with. And let's say you've gone to this church for 5 years. You love it. You love this pastor. You loved all his sermons. You found them all to lend valuable information, and you found it to be very valuable in your life. And then after about 5 or so years, you find out that this same pastor has had sexual relations with most of the women in the pulpit or in the front row of the church. Maybe extreme, but just hear me out. Then you immediately start discrediting all the advice, all the powerful sermons he's given over the years. Listen, people, stop doing that. Just because a person makes a mistake or does something inappropriate or you find completely inhuman does not discredit the advice or information they provide. The advice itself can be sound, although the person no longer is, due to recent acts or whatever the case may be. See, most of the public, they love their celebrities and they invest in them entirely, and which is why they also turn on them so quickly. Prime example, R. Kelly. Let's be real out here, people. I'm not here to defend R. Kelly. I'm not. So don't even try to go down that road with me. I'm not here to defend him. I'm a fan of his music, but I'm not here to defend him or what he did. But let's get down to the basics. I'm pretty sure most of you listening will probably conceive to his music in one way or another. Okay? The man is a legend. He's a legend. Musically, vocally, he's a legend. All right? You can't deny his talent. You cannot deny his talent. It cannot be denied. I'm not saying his music should completely overshadow and or absolve him of his sexual crimes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying separate the two. Now, you were all happy to be R. Kelly fans until this rape stuff came out, right? All the sex scandals and stuff like that. And then now all of you saying, this goes to corporations too. Now all of you saying like, oh yeah, no, I ain't buying R. Kelly music. I ain't gonna play his music in my car. I got a daughter. I ain't gonna play his music in my car anymore. Stop it. Stop with the bullshit, okay? Stop it. One has nothing to do with the other. Now, on one hand, I could see someone thinking that, well, maybe the reason he was able to make such music such as that or talk about that so much because of what he was doing in the background. That may be the case, but his talent has nothing to do with his actions, is what I'm saying. As a man, yes, he did some terrible things. Allegedly, he did some terrible things. But at the same time, his talent is completely separate from that. You can't take away his talent because of an act he did. Let's say you are a parent, right? Let's say there's a single mom listening to this podcast right now. You're a single mother. Let's say you're in your mid 30s. You have or late 30s. You have a child that's about to graduate high school with honors. And let's say one day you're out with friends. You were drinking a little bit, and these are friends that value your opinion, they value your advice, whatever. But you get pulled over by a cop, and then you get arrested for, DWI. Should your friends now discredit all the advice and information you gave them over the years because now you have gotten caught up? No. Does it make your advice less sound, less accurate, less helpful because now you have committed a crime and you're about to pay the price for it? No. The advice itself is completely separate. Some of the world's best advice comes from people that have committed some very heinous acts or got caught up in some very bad situations. In fact, I would say terrible situations are the ones that create great advice because it comes from experience. Another way to put it is they are a testament. We have to separate the two. Stop idolizing people until they do something wrong. You can believe what another person believes. You can take their advice. You can believe their advice is sound. You can take it to heart. You can live by it. You can swear by it. But the moment they do something wrong, that doesn't mean you turn around and then just conclude that all their advice is worthless. That's not the case. That is not the case. Separate the two. I love R. Kelly's music. I don't like his alleged actions and crimes. I can still listen to all his music even today. Knowing what he did, I'm not supporting his alleged crimes and actions by listening to his music. All right? If I found out that my pastor had an affair with some other woman at church, I don't automatically discredit or discount all his sermons because let's say he gave a sermon the past week about infidelity. And I agree with his sermon. That doesn't mean that sermon was any less valuable or accurate. It just means he may not be living by the word he's preaching, which is bad enough, but it doesn't mean the advice is not sound. Separate the two, people. So stop idolizing the person. If you like the advice that someone provides, let that be it. But don't tie that person and their perfect image to said advice because it leads to disappointment, as we see. It leads to cancel culture, among other things. We have to separate the two. Take the advice if you think it's sound. Listen if you think it's worth listening to. If you think it's valuable, apply it to your life. But don't discredit it because they do something wrong. Or at least it comes off as wrong or inappropriate in the public's eyes, if not your own. That doesn't mean that what they gave to you, what they provided to you, was not genuine wisdom and knowledge. Most times it is. For example, let's say you have a marriage counselor that's been divorced 4 times. Some of you may say, and include myself, I may think to myself, well, I don't want any marriage advice from a woman such as that. If you can't stay married, well, how can I trust you to keep me married? Anyone will be justified in their thinking. But let me tell you something. It also could mean she's learned a lot from her divorces, or it could just mean she's made bad choices. There's no way of truly knowing, but it doesn't make that person's advice any less credible. It doesn't. Separate the two. That's all I'm saying. Separate the two. I remember I watched one of my, favorite cult classic movies, A Time to Kill. With Sam Jackson, Matthew McConaughey. And I remember they put a doctor on the stand. I forget what kind of doctor he was, but he was crucial to the case. And, of course, they asked for his expert opinion. He gave it. But then, of course, the prosecutor who cross-examined the same doctor said, hey, weren't you yourself accused of a crime long ago? He says, what are you talking about? He says, well, actually, you raped a woman. When you were 21, you raped a 14-year-old, whatever. And even my first thought was, even if he did rape this person and the case was sealed, that was a long time ago. This doctor's like in his 60s or 70s now. But that doesn't mean his advice was less credible. He was giving professional advice in his field of study. That doesn't make the advice less credible. But even a lawyer came back and said, what you don't know is that same woman he allegedly raped, he then married, and she's been his wife for the last 50 or so years. And even he posed a question, just because he committed a crime back then, does that make his testimony or his advice any less credible? And I had to agree. Today, we've seen a judge, we've seen to trust a person, everything they say, follow everything they say, everything they do, until they commit something wrong. Then we just completely betray them. Another example, Bill Cosby. Now, of course, his legacy is tarnished, like R. Kelly's. However, we cannot discredit, and we should not discredit everything he's done over the years. We shouldn't turn our backs on that. Whether he was guilty or not, whether he did those acts or not, we should not discredit the man and or his knowledge, his wisdom, and what he is giving the community. Separate the two. We have to learn to start doing that. So stop idolizing the perfect picture of these people. Celebrities are not perfect. The people you idolize are not perfect. So stop treating them like they are beyond you. They're merely people with fame and or fortune. That's it. Separate the two. Even if something terrible happens, the advice can still be credible. It can still be genuine knowledge and wisdom that was passed down. It's just the person committed a bad act according to the public opinion or I. That's it. Separate the two. It's very important that we all learn to do that. And maybe, just maybe, we be all the better society for it. Because all I see today, we follow and follow and follow until they do something wrong, and then we completely turn against them like they never did anything right. And I have to say, that's pretty fucked up. I'm not saying you should condone their crimes or their actions. I'm saying, but we can at least probably agree more times than not that the knowledge, advice, and wisdom provided was genuine. It was credible. It was accurate. Let's focus on that. Let the person deal with their act. But what they provided to you, what you took from them before said act, let it be just that. It can still be applied to your life properly. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. And until next time, peace.